Hi, my name is Braylon Fisher, and today's speech is going to be going over the possible mental health influences caused by social media use in adolescents. Social media can negatively affect the mental health of teenagers through cyberbullying, sexual content, dangerous behaviors, and many other bad influences. Around 81% of American teenagers actively use social media, which means about 4 in 5 teenagers around the country are exposed to influences around the web. Whether yourself or somebody you know is an adolescent, this information can be helpful to keep you better informed about the possible dangers of social media at such an influential age. This topic feels like something I'm credible to talk about because I'm an adolescent and have had pretty free access to the internet from a pretty young age. This made me dive into the researching the possible correlations between frequent social media use and the risk to my mental health. First, I'll be discussing the promotion of bad influences. Then I will be going over the health effects from social media. Finally, I'll tell you about stress and anxiety being increased with frequent social media use. Studies show that unrealistic expectations and beauty standards that are found on social media can absolutely destroy the self-image and confidence of users. This can lead to poor self-worth and feelings of worthlessness, which can sometimes result in self-harm. Some studies indicate that new internet-based sex culture influences boys to demand porn-like sex and causes girls to allow it. Those studies find that much of social media directs teenagers towards a hypersexual culture. That's from Gami's research paper. Self-harm is also promoted on social media as a way to deal with problems and puts that idea in the brains of impressionable minds. Online social networking also leads to increased exposure and engagement in self-harm behavior, to users receiving negative messages promoting self-harm, emulating self-injurious behaviors of others, and adopting self-harm practices from shared videos. That's from the role of online social networking on deliberate self-harm, suicidality in adolescents, a systemized review of literature. Additionally, the rise of social media popularity began around the same time as there was a major spike in depression and suicide rates in adolescents. This is showed in Gami's research when they say in the past decade, since the innovation of the smartphone, there's been an increase in depression, anxiety, and suicidality among teenagers and young adults. This rise in rates may just seem to be mental health, but it also goes to physical health. It shows that sleep can be negatively affected as a result of social media use, and this can make daily function and critical thinking more difficult. Lastly, long exposure to social networking has been shown to increase levels of stress and anxiety. You may feel as though you could trade it off for being more involved in a social environment, and the trade-off would be for feeling less lonely. But the results from participants in the UCLA loneliness scale show that on average, those who reported using social media constantly felt more lonely than those who did not. These feelings of stress and anxiety are a result of feeling the constant need to be up to date on new trends and feeling less value if you are not getting the validation from people on social media. This is shown when Patrice Apocata said, "Yes, life can be extremely stressful for today's adolescents because of social media's warping and magnifying of the lens through which they see themselves, and because of intensifying pressures on the kids to excel at rigid academic and career paths." Today, I discussed the impressionable minds of adolescents being exposed to bad influences. Secondly, we covered social media's effects on physical health. Finally, I shared information about feelings of stress and anxiety caused by social media. When exposed to social media, adolescents can be exposed to unfair expectations, reckless behavior, and harassment. Social media is inevitable in this day and age, but learning about the possible risks is important so we can make it better catered towards the safety of its users and reduce the risk of mental health that it currently possesses. Thank you.